Jeff hit us up from New Orleans. He said, what do you expect from Brian Kelly and LSU next year? I love this question because one of my current hottest takes is, had LSU been a top 35 defense this past year, they would have won the national title. I told you, it's a pretty hot take. But I do believe it. I very much believe it. They had 3 losses. They gave up 40 or more in all those losses. Who was it, Jesse? It was Bama, it was Ole Miss, and it was FSU at the beginning of the year. Total helplessness defensively, like men versus boys. And I got to be honest with you, I don't know that they've got the personnel this year defensively to make it look any better, but I think it will look better because I think LSU, and I want to be specific on that, LSU just made some really sizable defensive moves. I told you the other night, I thought Kevin Peoples, even with Bo Davis coming in, and even with Blake Baker coming in as the DC, big names, I thought Kevin Peoples may be the most effective pound-for-pound defensive coach that they've brought in. I think extremely highly of him. All our numbers back it up. Kevin Peoples, rising star. But forget that, because all those guys are big-time upgrades over what they've had. This isn't choir practice, okay? So when I say they made moves, that doesn't mean everybody in the building looks and says, all right, we're all on board? Yeah, we're all on board? A new player personnel moves. Are we all on board? Sometimes people aren't on board. But you know what? Everybody has butting of heads inside their athletic department. The teams that lose have it. The teams that win have it. As long as everyone has the same end goal in mind, disagreement's not the worst thing in the world. Okay, so you tout one guy, I tout the other guy. We go hire who we hire. But once they're in here, they're in the foxhole with us. And as long as they're all fighting and they're all pushing in the same direction, we're good. We don't have to be best friends, but we can be good. I think a little of that's going on at LSU, and yet I still think they'll be okay at the end of the day. Now, they got the 6th best odds to win the college football playoff this upcoming year, and that's being in the SEC. I mean, if they were in another conference, they may have higher odds because they'd be, more favored to win the conference. They have the 4th best odds to win the SEC and the 6th best odds to win the whole thing this upcoming year. They are a top 10 recruiter. Since Brian Kelly's been there, they are portaling very well over the last 3 classes. I don't know that the caliber of defensive personnel this year will be at the level they need it to be to compete for a national title. But you know what? This time last year, we were looking, and granted, we circled the DBs as it did everyone as a potential red flag. Brian Kelly came on this show and said, yeah, I think it's fair to call that a red flag. Just brutal honesty from the head coach at LSU. And you know what? He was honest and he was right because it hurt them all year. You still got the post-spring portal window. Let's see what they do. But I think these defensive moves they made will at least have a different effort, a different caliber of LSU defense on the field. Now, is it going to be a top 10 unit? No, probably not. But they got some really good players there. And you know what I always think of anytime my mind is going that direction? I think about just go back any given year. Go back last year. Look at the top 25 defenses in the country. There are going to be several teams in that top 25 you look at and say, that team right there doesn't have nearly the personnel LSU does. That team right there doesn't have nearly the personnel LSU. So my point is, it is possible. It is possible to scale performance using the same ingredients that made a meal last year that you didn't like the taste of at all. You get the right teachers, get the right coaches in the room, and they took gigantic leaps towards doing that.